What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to stay updated with Ravens content, make sure to subscribe button down below and hit the notification bell as well if you want to get notified every single time I upload a brand new video. Now, this video is not directly Ravens related. If you did not know, I'm working on coming out with as many draft profiles, scouting profiles as possible before the NFL draft. My goal is to get out 3 videos per day. So, with these in mind, this is not particularly a tailored to a Ravens audience video. So, if you're not a Ravens fan, welcome. I'm trying to put out as many content as possible. So let me know if you guys want him for your team. Obviously, most of my audience is Ravens fans. I will give my opinion on the Ravens and if they should draft these players at the end of the video. But the majority of the video is going to be me analyzing the player, giving my strengths, my weaknesses of them, and where I think they would be a good fit to be taken in the draft. So this is the first one of these I'm doing. Should be 2 or 3 of these every single day up until the draft. Let me know of players that you guys want me to do, and let me know your thoughts on this player. But starting off, I wanted to go with one of my favorite running backs in this class. I wanted to go with Brian Robinson Jr. The biggest thing when I'm trying to do these, I don't want to do it on the guys that everyone talks about, right? Because there's so much information out there on the first round picks, right? You know, I don't need to talk about Drake London. I don't need to talk about Aiden Hutchinson because there's a million people talking about them at all times. So I want to talk about the guys that could be hidden gems in this year's draft. And Brian Robinson Jr., I think very well could be that guy. Brian Robinson Jr., if you didn't know, also I'm just going to say Brian Robinson for the rest of this video for convenience purposes. But he's a running back from the University of Alabama. Now, he was there for 4 years. He is an older player in this draft, coming in at around 23 years old, which makes him he was a backup for a majority of his career at Alabama. He was the backup to Damian Harris, NFL running back. Backup to Najee Harris, NFL running back. Backup to Bo Scarborough as well. I don't know if Bo Scarborough is still in the NFL, but he was at one point playing for the Dallas Cowboys. So, you know, he's been in that backfield, and he's been a dynamic punch. He was definitely a dynamic punch with Najee Harris, much less so with Damian Harris. But overall, he was out there playing for the best team in college football for the last couple of seasons. And he performed decently well until last year, which is when he took over the starting role and won the national championship as the lead back at Alabama. Now, overall, Alabama is very difficult to gauge because you look at them and they have the best offensive line in college football. You know, they have the best weapons in college football. But at the same time, that shows how well they've been putting players into the NFL. All of their skill position players have been able to come in and they've performed very well. Whether it's the quarterback position, obviously with Mac Jones last year, Jalen Hurts, Tua. The wide receivers we've seen come in and do very well. Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, and more. Henry Ruggs was good until, he's no longer in the league. But even at the running back spot, I brought up Damian Harris and Najee Harris and Bo Scarborough. They pump running backs into the NFL, not to mention Josh Jacobs as well. They pump skilled players into the NFL. And I believe Brian Robinson Jr. is that next guy. Brian Robinson Jr. is the biggest back in this class, or at least the biggest back that I think has like a really solid future in the NFL. There may be bigger guys that could be undrafted and stuff like that, but he's 6'1 and a half, 225 pounds. Like, this is a big back. Is he the most athletic player in this draft? No. Does he have Derrick Henry straight line speed? No. But you know what he does have? He has physicality. He has toughness and he has grit. And that's what you want out of your big back. You know, he's a little bit, more nimble than you'd expect at his size, but the biggest thing that he provides is he is physical and he is going to run downhill. That can work for a lot of teams, right? Is he going to be an every down running back? Most likely not, because he doesn't have the pass catching skills to be fully relied on. He can catch the ball, but he's not going out there like Austin Eckler or anything like that. So he's most likely going to be a short yardage back at the start of his career. Maybe could develop into a, first and second down running back. We can see what happens. But when you're looking at him, he is just so physical. And he played in the SEC, mind you, and he was able to run through players. He was able to truck through them. He was great in pass protection. Those are the types of things that you need when you are a big back. He's also a very, very, stable player when it comes to holding onto the football. He doesn't drop it. All right. And that's huge. That is absolutely crucial when you're looking at a big running back, because you don't want your guy when you need him, because you're typically going to put him out on the field needing 1 or 2 yards. You can't have a fumble on 4th down. You actually can't recover a fumble on 4th down and advance the football. All right. So you need to make sure you're holding onto that ball. He's going to do that. And he also brings an attribute that so many young running backs don't have, which is pass protection. Pass protection is one of the most crucial areas in the NFL at the running back position, and it's probably the most undervalued. The Dallas Cowboys game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the beginning of the year, Ezekiel Elliott put on one of the best performances I've ever seen from him. And he did not have a good rushing game whatsoever. He was completely stifled. But the way that he was blocking the blitzing linebackers, the edge rushers, he was throwing his body in there and he was stopping them in their tracks. That provided value and allowed the Cowboys to have a chance at winning that game. A lot of running backs do not provide that whatsoever. And Ezekiel Elliott isn't the best pass-catching running back. He's not horrible. But you can put him in on those situations, even though you have a Tony Pollard, because he can provide so much value in the pass catching, in the pass blocking game. The NFL is full of blitzing linebackers. The NFL is full of passing. So making sure that you have a player that can block and run up the middle is a very good versatility to have when you're trying to, draft a player. Now, the biggest flaw with him is he is a little bit older. He doesn't have the crazy athleticism that you want, in a running back and stuff like that. Also, what's funny is, there are some scouting profiles that say his weakness is his running style because it's a durability concern, which is showing that he runs so hard and so physically that people are worried that he's not going to be able to stay healthy, which could be a benefit to him in the fact that he is going to bust his tail on every single time that he gets that football, and he's not going to be an every down running back. He's not coming in as a Derrick Henry, full package, every down, give him the football no matter what type of running back. He's coming in as hey, you need him on 3rd down. You need him, it's 1st and 10, and you're playing against a weaker offensive line or weaker defense. You run that ball with him, he'll get 4 yards. He'll get 5 yards. He's not going to take the top off the defense most likely, but he is going to get good yardage. I think that's very valuable. In the modern NFL, too many times we see running backs take that ball and they start juking around in the backfield and they lose 5 yards. Miles Sanders. Overall, the biggest thing is making sure that you're able to get consistency, and that's what Brian Robinson is going to be able to do. Now, I said I would talk about my opinion on the Ravens drafting him. I think he's a perfect fit in Baltimore. The Ravens need, I think, that power running back that they can sub in so they can allow Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins to be able to be those outside 1st and 2nd down and 3rd down passing situation running backs. I think he'd be a great fit. I love him as a prospect. But he would definitely work in a lot of different schemes. You could throw him in situations like, Carolina, as a backup to Christian McCaffrey, and Chuba Hubbard as that change of pace, just absolute bulldozer. Heck, you could even have him as a backup in Tennessee, to Derrick Henry, so that if Derrick Henry needs a breather, you can at least sub in a guy that's similar in terms of the force that they will put on that defense. They can't take a break when Derrick Henry steps off the field. There are plenty of places that I think Brian Robinson could fit. If he slides into that 4th round, he is an absolute steal in this draft. Now, he could go a lot earlier. Running back is very difficult to judge on where you think players can go. I think he'll be a 3rd or 4th round selection. If he gets into that 4th round and your team needs a running back or a backup running back, you better hope that your team takes Brian Robinson Jr. I'm a huge fan of him. Let me know what you guys are thinking about him. Let me know other players you guys want me to talk about. Hit the subscribe button down below if you want to see more, draft profiles and stuff like that. And if he's already been drafted and you're watching this in post, congratulations. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see all of you again next time.